So this is not that bad, but we definitely need to fix a couple areas. I'm probably gonna end up just switching the quote around a little bit. Not a lot of people do know about Yuval. Okay, for now we'll keep it, but definitely I'll have to just inquire about that later. So far the script's not that bad. I'm enjoying what we're doing right now. But definitely, I'll probably need to get another quote later on. So we'll keep on fucking around and finding out. Okay, let's see now. All right, that's not bad. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, that's gonna be the problem. Definitely gonna be a pain in the ass, that's for sure. All right, but we can figure that out as we go. The big problem we're gonna have is just the retcon. Yeah, the retcon's gonna be a pain in the ass, but we'll figure it out as we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's fine. Like that's not the end of the world. Do. Let's see. All right. Okay, so let's read this out loud. But there's one more thing to consider: the continuity issues introduced by Resident Evil 2 remake. While Outbreak takes place before Resident Evil 2, the Outbreak lab and the Resident Evil 2 lab are essentially the same, with Outbreak expanding on the original layout. The Resident Evil 2 lab serves as the base design. The Outbreak adds newer areas while keeping some of the older locations and blocking others. This doesn't cause major continuity issues. Oh, I gotta fix that between the two games, except for one thing. RE2 to make introduces Nest. Yeah, so that's gonna be a pain in the ass just because of the Nest layout. Hmm. I really wish we had a fucking remake. All right, that's not that bad. Okay, so let's adjust this real quick. Well, Outbreak takes place. Let's highlight that for later. This is something we definitely need to inquire about. While Outbreak takes place before Resident Evil 2, the Outbreak lab and the RE2 lab are essentially the same, with Outbreak expanding on the original layout. The Resident Evil 2 lab serves as the base design. Outbreak adds newer areas while keeping some of the old locations, blocking others. This doesn't cause a major continuity issue between two games, except for one thing. RE2 make introduces Nest. Okay. All right, that's not bad. Okay. That's gonna be that's really gonna be a pain in the ass just because of that factor. Just because I'll confirm that later. I'll go looking around. So the nest located beneath the Arclay Mountains and underneath the umbrella chemical plant was a mass facility constructed for G-Virus research, housing some of the most dangerous bioweapons and experiments ever created. This new facility is a complete overhaul compared to the earlier Outbreak lab. In Resident Evil 2 Remake, the nest is far more complex with additional research projects, far more elaborate designs, which contrasts with the more intact lab seen in Outbreak. Okay, so we gotta add this. We definitely gotta do this for later. Maybe some examples will probably help. Like I said before, guys, this is a lot harder than it seems. Like just coming up with a script, like there's a lot of research that comes into this. Okay, that's not bad. Definitely not bad. But we definitely could improve on that. Okay. Let's see. Um okay. That's not bad. I think we can definitely go into more detail about it. Okay. So let's see how this actually sounds. I might change that sentence. I probably definitely should change that sentence up a little bit. In the icy frozen depths of the in the icy frozen depths of Umbrella's underground laboratory, the survival is a battle against time and terrifying secrets. Okay, so explain why it was frozen. It was frozen in the first place. Definitely can't forget about that because this is gonna be that one guy who's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't go into detail about why it was frozen in the first place." Yeah, like they were freezing it in order to contain the fucking outbreak. Okay, we can also go into detail about the ramifications, but why that feels, and and explain the dangers of. Okay, so in the icy frozen depths of the Umbrella's underground laboratory, survival is a battle against both time and terrifying secrets. Explain why it was frozen in the first place, and explain the dangers of it being unfrozen. Yeah, like definitely those hunters were a pain in the ass. Um, their survival efforts to fasten the facility, reactivating rail cars. That's technically it didn't happen because Monica was trying to do that in the first place. I gotta play through that again, but Monica was trying to do that, but it didn't work. Them just dying it did help Leon and Claire later, so that's not necessarily true. So we'll definitely have to take this out for later. We'll just keep it there for now, just so I can remember to actually go back to that. Okay. All right. That's not that bad. All right. So it's just not about immediate survival. It's about a devastating ripple effect on their actions. So we can definitely change the ripple effect. I just put it in there just to put it in there, but definitely we can just change that later. Um, let me feed it in and see how it actually sounds. Give me a second. It's probably not going to sound that good. Just give me a moment. Let's see. Come on. Okay, so I can go into detail about why that'll come back to haunt us. Definitely, we can expand on that later. But we'll see. All right, carrying on. We'll come back to that later. Definitely change Yuval because a lot of people don't know who the fuck Yuval is. Okay. If I remember correctly, the base should have more resources on this. Okay. Okay. Next section. Okay, the big problem. So again, the retcon is definitely there. Like right now, we need to see if there's any information regarding Outbreak's lab in Nest from RE2. So damn, again, I got this information from Reddit, which is the funny thing, because I actually commented on something. It was like, okay, is the RE0 area, RE0 labs the same as RE2? And someone out of nowhere was like, hey, there was a document that stated Umbrella made identical labs. I'm like, wait, that just opens up a big ass can of worms because if that's the case, what the hell was? Where did we go? And well, first of all, zero. Let's keep zero by itself. Break has to happen in the RE2 labs. It has to happen because they're in Raccoon City. It would make perfect sense. But now it's like, well, for clarity's sake, let's just keep this by itself. Outbreak takes place in the RE2 labs. We'll make a mention of Nets later. Okay. While Outbreak takes place before Resident Evil 2, the Outbreak lab and Resident Evil 2 lab are essentially the same, with Outbreak expanding on the original layout. The Resident Evil 2 lab serves as the base design. Outbreak adds newer areas while keeping some older locations and others, blocking out others. Go into more detail which ones it actually blocks. Definitely go into more detail, like which specific areas. Which specific areas does it block? Um, the liquor area. Like the make sure I mention the liquor corridor. Liquor corridor, for example. Okay, that's mine. Okay, it kind of does cause it. I have to still like go into like expanded detail on that. We have to actually research that for later. Okay, the nest located beneath Arklay Mountains and under the Umbrella Chemical Plant was a massive facility constructed for G-Larvae research, housing some of the most dangerous bioweapons experiments ever created. This new facility is a complete overhaul compared to the early Outbreak Lab. In Resident Evil 2 Remake, the nest is far more complex, with additional research projects and far more elaborate designs, which contrasts with the more intact lab seen in Outbreak. And it wasn't intact. We have to mention like some areas were still intact. Some areas were still intact, i.e., the escape elevator from 2 was not intact, that's for sure. The escape elevator, fuck. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's see now. Okay, that definitely was not intact, so we can actually go into more detail about that later. Okay, I think that's fine. Some areas are still intact, i.e., the escape elevator was not. It had that jump scare. Go into detail about that later. Okay. So how does this all tie together? How did the survivors of the below freezing point trying to escape a collapsing umbrella lab set the stage for the nightmare that follows? Check around to uncover how these interconnected events in the shifting timeline creates new layers of horror, and how the decisions under the freezing pressure. It wasn't that good to add that. Uh, and how the decisions of survival ultimately lead to the destruction of Raccoon City as we know it. Let's actually read how this is now. So how does all this tie together? How do the survivors of below freezing point trying to escape a collapsing umbrella lab set the stage for the nightmare that follows? Stick around to uncover how these interconnected events in the shifting timeline create new layers of horror, and how the decisions of survival ultimately lead to the destruction of Raccoon City as we know it. That doesn't come right in the off the tongue. Okay, stick around to uncover how these interconnected events in the shifting timeline create new layers of horror, and how the decisions of survival ultimately lead to the destruction of Raccoon City as we know it. Okay, I can fix that. I can definitely fix that. Okay, I can definitely fix that. Imagine leaving a comment saying it sounds like AI wrote your script when you're actually just writing the script right now. As you're writing a script, people, watch your comments, please. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, let's read that again. Stick around to uncover how these interconnected events and the shifting timeline create new layers of horror, and how the decisions of survival ultimately leads to the destruction of Raccoon City as we know it, and how the decision and how the survivors no, let's keep decision there. How our decisions no. I have to keep that. Okay, that's we'll come back about that. We'll come back on that later. Go into detail about fuck. Oh yeah, go had that jump scare. Okay. Keep watching because what we're about to uncover will change everything you thought you knew about the outbreak. It might just leave you questioning how far-reaching our choices really are. Okay, that sounds fine. Yeah, that's not that bad. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I think we can probably fix that a little bit better, but we'll see how that goes later. Okay. The cold, desolate halls of Umbrella's underground laboratory, Yoko Suzuki is one of the few survivors left. Make note of this. I will probably have to play her. Play her. Why did that come up? Okay. Start labbing Yoko. Start start labbing Yoko. Her backstory is a tragic one. A woman caught in the web of betrayal, survival, and unwilling involvement in Umbrella's horrific experience. Expand on this. Expand on this. I have to go into detail about Monica's motivations. Go into detail. Monica's motivations. She's trying to sell the sample to the highest bidder. There's some morality in that too. She was not a mere innocent bystander in these twisted events, but rather someone who had witnessed firsthand the horrors created by Umbrella's unchecked pursuit of power. Okay, that's good. Her connection to the facility goes beyond just working as an employee. It is clear that Yoko had knowledge of the many dark secrets within. Give an example. Give an example of this. Okay. He wants to trust. Ah, no. I can't. That's not gonna. I can't add that because based off their relationship, I know I just added that in there just to add that in there. I was in the groove, but no, like Monica was literally about to kill this bitch. Okay. He was once a colleague of Monica, the woman who ultimately. Oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, for some weird reason, somebody commented on one of my videos and said it sounds like it was AI writing this. I'm like, the fuck? As I'm proceeding to write this, so I guess from now on, whenever I'm writing a script, I actually have to do this like this. Imagine that as I'm writing a script. But my next video is gonna be on below freezing point, so I'm actually just finishing this up. Oh, unbelievable. Okay, so let's see where I'm at. Her connection to the facility goes beyond just working as an employee. It is clear that's a typo. I gotta fix that. It is clear that Yoko had knowledge of the many dark secrets contained within. Give an example of this. She was once a colleague of Monica, the woman who ultimately betrayed her, stealing the ID card and attempting to escape with the mysterious attaché case. She shot a colleague. She shot a coworker. She shot a coworker in order to get this. Okay. A lot of people haven't played Outbreak, so they probably just watched the cutscenes. But yeah, Monica's motivations were pretty much stealing this in order to sell it to the highest bidder. Like this is a common thing in Resident Evil. Okay. Yeah, while Yoko's role in the lab's collapse is more passive, she becomes one of the key survivors from the incident. She can turn into a zombie. Can turn into a zombie if you don't pick her. Let me just write that down so I can remember that. She turns into a zombie if you don't pick her. All right. That's just to make sure I actually have that for later because you never know. I never stream on YouTube. Yeah, I'm actually gonna start doing that because I just finished legit like two videos like in the span of a few minutes. Not a few minutes, a couple of days. Like that Resident Evil 4 video I was working on and the Fate one I was working on as well. So I finished them both today. Then I really didn't have much to do. Like today's our day off, so I said, "Fuck it, I'll just continue working on Below Freezing Point." Then that comment came out of nowhere. I'm like, "Bruh, what the fuck?" But yeah. So I'm definitely gonna put this in the video. But whenever I'm writing these, I actually just go. I'm in the mojo. I just go right in and just go. Then after that, after I got a rough draft done, I come back and just see the areas that I need to improve on. Like, there's a lot of areas where this is definitely lacking in. Like, this is probably gonna be like at least a 10-minute video. But yeah, I have to definitely do that because again, I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, these Outbreak videos again. They're for fun. I actually got permission to actually play Outbreak again after so long. I just wasn't expecting that. I'm like, bruh, come on. You know how long it takes to make these videos? So long. Like right now, there's a lot of areas which this specific one needs to improve on. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay. Yeah, while Yoko's role in the lab's collapse is more passive, she still becomes one of the key survivors of the incident. She can turn into a zombie if you don't pick her. I don't play Yoko, but I actually kind of have to do it in order to prove my point. Um, I Yoko's hard on harder levels. Her efforts to flee the facility to escape the terror surrounding her become a tragic symbol of the choices that survivors are forced to make, whether to push forward in the hope of salvation or to succumb to the growing weight of the outbreak. As Yoko ventures deeper into the frozen tunnels of the lab, trying to figure out how to escape, she unknowingly becomes part of the larger, irreversible chain of events. The path she treads, though born of necessity, is paved with fatal consequences for the city she never intended to doom. That's not I put that in there, but I'm gonna get rid of that later, just because she has amnesia. She has amnesia, so this won't work. Reword this later. Okay. All right. I guess from now on, I'm probably whenever I have the chance, I'll do some streams of me actually working on this. I have a few scripts for future videos that I have done. Like we have an Armored Core video that I got planned for later. We have a Metroid Fusion one because Metroid Fusion is low key a horror game. A couple more Outbreak ones, and as I mentioned, I finished the RE4 one today. So we got a lot of videos to do before I leave. Okay, her struggle to survive in the face of overwhelming terror, the frozen lab, the monstrous creatures, and the twisted history of the G virus is emblematic of the existential dread faced by all the survivors. Even though she may believe she's simply trying to save herself, every action she takes unwillingly hastens the course of disaster. The actions that they do help Leon and Claire out. Okay, help Leon and Claire out. I'll always say this: the Outbreak crew definitely are the unsung heroes of the whole entire outbreak. Like their actions saved a lot of people. Like Resident Evil 3 happened like a day or so after the outbreak, and it happened a day or so after the outbreak, and them exploding the zombies in the city square. It took a burden off of Jill, that's for sure. And by the time Leon and Claire actually got to the city, there was barely any zombies in the cities to begin with. So their actions took out a lot of bodies. Okay. Monica, Yoko's former colleague, takes center stage as the catalyst for chaos and below freezing point. Her betrayal is just not a matter of personal survivor. It's a calculated attempt to escape with knowledge that could doom Raccoon City and beyond. Let's expand on this. So, why did she do this? Monica wants to sell the sample the highest bidder. I'm gonna be doing like at least 30 more minutes worth of work, then I'll come back and do some more work afterwards because I gotta go actually take a shower. We got work tomorrow. Actually, no, I'll do like a few more minutes. I'm gonna go shower up and come back and do this. Okay, so why did she do this? Monica wants to sell the sample to the highest bidder, which obviously which obviously they will use for bad reasons. This can be obviously I'm just put in there that just to be in there for bad reasons. The attaché case Monica steals contains more than just the vital research. It's the key to a nightmare, the dangerous power of the G virus. I wish they really went into more detail about what led up to her just stealing this. How was Monica like before all this? Okay, which has already been shown to twist human form into monstrous creatures with a thirst for destruction. Monica's motivations for stealing the case are less about personal gain and more about power, a desire to control a deadly weapon that could change the course of history. Okay, I double posted that. Okay. In her in her desperation to flee, Monica falls victim to the very thing she sought to control. The G embryo had breaking the G embryo. No, we have okay. The sample mutated into a G embryo and broke free, then enters her body. No, and and later begins a horrific transformation to confront the survivors. Note this is similar to what happened to. Note this is what's similar to to Irons and Ben. Note this is similar to what happens to Irons and Ben. However, there's not a monstrous mutation. No, no, no. Monica dies. Monica simply dies as the embryo bursts from her chest. It is a tragic and it is tragic and as her desperation and attempts at survival and her becoming a tragic host for the virus Her death and subsequent release of the G larvae. Yeah, it's a G larvae, then it becomes yeah. I'm being an idiot. Okay, okay, all right. This is not bad. In a tragic end, as her desperation attempts at survival result in her becoming a tragic host, a failed host, a failed. Explain, explain why this happens, i.e., Ben and Irons. RE2 goes into detail about this, and the virus, the G virus rejects people who don't share DNA. And I quote, I gotta do background knowledge check on that, i.e., why Sherry was a perfect match when she was infected. Okay. All right. That's good. Okay. That sounds great. It's pretty good. Her death and the subsequent release of the G-Larvae underscore the grim reality of the outbreak. Her fall from betraying Yoko to becoming an unwilling catalyst is a poignant reminder of the uncontrollable horrors of Umbrella's experiments. Okay, let me take a break. I'm gonna come back and we'll continue doing this because I guess from now on I have to actually do this. All right, I'll be back later.